Good Monday night, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Premiership podcast. We're your hosts, Jacob,
And I'm Elijah.
and let's get crack-a-lacking into round 4 of the 2023 season.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we'll start
first
off
of all,
by,
yeah. Well, sorry, it's not as good a quality as we would have hoped. I'm away. I usually do all the tech stuff behind the scenes, so forgive us just for this week. We'll be back to our normal scheduling and all the fancy graphics and that next week. Yeah.
we're
Anyway,
very fancy. We're
round
very
round.
posh with
Let's get
with
into the
how we do stuff.
recaps. Yes.
Brisbane, Collingwood. Brisbane getting over the line against the Pies, 116-83. Overall, a pretty good contest. A bit of a nothing game, in my opinion, though. Brisbane playing in the at home at the Gabba, and overall, the Pies put up a valiant fight.
Mm-hmm.
However, I feel like um, their ruck backups are going to cause a bit of a downfall. But I feel like they do have the team to go forward in terms of Nick Dacos, their midfield depth, forward depth, and defensive depth. It's just their ruck depth isn't quite there yet due to injury. Brisbane, however, played a very good game. They got to a pretty handy lead after the Pies were in the lead. Um, and some key players to note down, like Joe Danaher um, getting rising up to the occasion. Eric Coopwood rising up to the occasion as well after criticism from the press.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was a really good game to watch, to be honest. Brisbane just getting over the line, but I'm not convinced with the Lions, even though at the start of the season I was like the Brisbane are going to be really good this season. But I want to see them win against good teams in Melbourne before I start saying, yeah, the Lions can get there again.
Yeah, well, look, at the end of the day, they topped off the side, which us and a lot of other people said were probably the best team in the comp in Collingwood. They managed to do it. And, they mainly came through that second quarter where they had a massive goal streak. Uh, Now, yeah, it was pretty much an arm wrestle, ignoring that big streak of goals by Brisbane. But look, end of the day, I mean, Dacos once again really, really reliable. Pendlebury's, he's putting in work. And even my check and all that, still down forward kicking goals. It's
Mm.
yeah, it's unfortunate for Collingwood, but I mean, what can you do? You win some, you lose some. They'll go back. They'll look at next
Oh,
week and the weeks ahead.
100%.
Yeah, no, but they should be right, I think.
There's nothing really much else to say. It was just a really fought out game. Collingwood just not really rising up to the occasion and being able to hold that small lead for a long period of time. And again, their ruck stacks aren't quite there yet, with most of them being injured. So
Yeah,
overall, the
well,
Lions thoroughly deserved this win.
yeah, well, you had McInerney pretty much dominating those
Mm.
hitouts and those clearances, and you had Cameron and Rayner combining for 10 goals. So, yeah, no, Brisbane, pretty good effort. I don't see it as a no, as a just random
Mm.
game. They beat Collingwood, which one of the better teams in the comp through this year, and Brisbane, who's shown inconsistencies, has stepped up to the occasion, and they've bounced back from inconsistent weeks previously. So, be good on them.
Mm.
Hopefully, they can carry it through though. So, mm,
Well, we'll move on to the Good Friday game, um, where North Melbourne lost to the Blues. North Melbourne put up a really good fight as well. They really shocked
mhm.
me, to be honest, with leading at multiple stages of the game against a high quality opposition. It shows that they are improving as a team and as a club as well as
Mhm.
a whole club, as they've been downhill for past couple of years have been very dormant and very poor. But Carlton just getting over the line with Curnow and Mackay combining for 10 goals. Doherty just being that general down back. Paddy Cripps just being Paddy Cripps. And some honourable mentions to Cowan. Honourable mention to Zerha as well. Zerha played an outstanding game. Goldstein, the veteran ruckman of the league, showing why he's still one of the best as well. And just some youth like Shazel getting his career high disposals and beating or creating his own world record, beating the likes of Bairstow in getting the most disposals in the first 4 games of their career. 127 disposals in his first 4 games of Shazel's career, which is outstanding. So overall, this game was really good in terms of what being able to watch the game, highlights, and it'll be a staple for years to come. There's been controversy with North Melbourne playing on Good Friday, um, but I feel like this game's a staple now. This game is there to stay because it was a well thought out game.
Yeah, well, it was the highest crowd at Marvel of all time, I think. It was like what 49,000 crammed in there.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, both teams put a really, really good effort in. And if you ignore the scoreline, it's a very even game across the board too. Sheasel didn't kick a
Mm.
goal, but he had got a lot of the ball. Um, and I still think he played pretty well, even though he was goalless. And on the other side, I mean, Mackay and Kurno also going 10 goals apiece, not apiece, but combined. So yeah, just really good stuff for both teams. North Melbourne, I think you take it a bit on the chin. You go, look, we could have won it, but not much
Mm.
you can do. Look towards next week, but they've got a really good young side, and well, both teams do. But you wouldn't expect them to play finals this year generally. Um,
Mm.
but no, I wouldn't be too upset if I'm a North supporter. I've seen a couple which are like, you should have got that one, but look, there's a lot to take away from it. And it was a very even game, so it was winnable. But no, I wouldn't be too upset in the grand scheme of things because you're not really pushing for finals, whereas Carlton are. So yeah,
Mm.
but no, pretty
And
good game though.
not to mention, this game was for a good cause, the Good Friday
Mm,
Foundation. So huge shout out to them as well. Huge charity helping out the kids. Good moments with Alistair Clarkston, with the kids from the Royal Children's. Um, so yeah, not only was this game a good footy match to watch, it was also for a very good cause as well.
exactly, and they got also the Good Friday appeal, also their own record-breaking tally. So yeah, good stuff came out of the game in total. Yeah,
Mm. Moving on to Saturday, where the Crows got over the Dockers. Last year, the Dockers bet the Crows by 1 point with a punch out from Duday, I think it was Duday.
it was Chapman. Freo
Chapman.
won by a point. Yeah,
Yeah, Frio won by a point. My bad. But Crows really looking exciting. They're looking really exciting. They've got me very hyped for the season ahead. Um,
that's all I can
Mainly due to
say.
the fact that they're just exciting. Their forward line's so exciting. Their midfield is really getting there. Miller are getting back into form now. He's back in the squad, and their defensive structure with Dawson at the helm and the captain. My God, the Crows, I feel, are better than Port Adelaide at the moment.
I mean, they beat him last week, so you can't say much about that otherwise.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, no, I've been saying this since round one. I love this Adelaide team. I think I'll be surprised if they make finals or make much noise at all. In finals, but
Mm,
I like their list. I like everything about them. Um, I mean, Rob kind of got shown up in the ruck a bit. When you had what 38 hitouts to 29, but against Sean Darcy. But look, I'm loving what Adelaide's bringing to the table. Really good young side, and they'll be competing. probably from next year, really. In the
Mm.
top eight. Who you'd really take out of the top eight if you had a list now? What, maybe a Richmond dropping off, or Geelong. I'm not sure who else comes out though, because you have a lot of these other teams also looking really good. Um,
Mm.
but no,
Fremantle are 1-3 now, though.
it is concerning. Um,
Mm.
Sean
Their forward line's just in
Darcy,
shambles.
yeah, I mean Sean Darcy's doing okay in the ruck, but you can't really say a whole lot about the rest of the list. Andy Brayshaw managed to get 31 disposals, Sarong 28, but
Mm.
there's only a few players which are really highlights. Everyone else is kind of just there, I guess, because they're not really rocking up as much as you'd expect them to, not putting in as much effort. So
Mm.
you hopefully once they get their groove back, it'll help.
Mm.
Losing players like Lob, um, how hurt, especially going forward because that's what they got their big run with last year, going into the semi-finals, wasn't it?
Semi-final
Um,
against the Pies.
yeah. So hopefully they may get their mojo back, but it's not looking the best. Looking at the quality of teams who are 1-4, you'd expect Fremantle to be pretty much the best team there. Bar Geelong,
Mm.
we'll get to Geelong later, definitely. But no, it's concerning for Fremantle. But
Mm.
yeah, no, next week, hopefully they've got a better chance. Gather around next week, so they won't be at home. But
Mm.
it's tough for every team who go down to Adelaide really to win. So yeah,
Adelaide just the better team at the end of the day.
pretty much.
Um, Bulldogs prevailing over the Tigers, the rampaging Tigers at the end there by 5 points. The
Mm-hmm.
Bulldogs were on top for most of the game before Richmond came back and took the lead, and then Bulldogs had to scrounge around and take back the lead, and eventually got the Easter chocolates.
Yeah,
Um, Players, their midfield and players like Bontempelli, McRae, and Liberatore, Tim English, BOG for the game.
yeah,
All these players are finding form now after a poor start to the season with the first two rounds. But now they're just getting their mojo back, and it's very exciting to watch. Richmond's disappointing because at the start of the season, we're like, oh, they're getting these quality players like Hopper and Taranto. Even though Taranto statistically is the worst kick in the comp, they're getting these quality players, but for what? They're what are they now, Elijah? Are they two and two, or one
yep.
draw and two losses?
Um, Richmond, I believe, yeah, just the one win and the one draw, two losses. So yeah,
To be honest, I feel like most of us, minus a draw, we were expecting them to be at least two wins. Mainly due to the fact that they've got such a quality list, but they're just not living up to the hype. Um, to when the start of the season came around, when there was just this huge hype going around where Richmond's dynasty's not over just yet. They're bringing in these quality players, but it's still early in the season. But it is shocking to see them be 1-1 and 2.
yeah. I mean, if you look at the whole list, I mean, you think, oh, they're pretty old now. Dusty's on his last legs. Cotchin's on his last legs. Three is also on his last legs. And I think the main hype, especially from me, I was going, look, these new guys, Taranto, got Hopper, and all these guys, they'll bring a lot of fire energy and they'll carry this team, but they haven't. No one in this team's really rocked up as much as you'd expect or want, especially if you're a Richmond supporter. So, I mean, going
Mm,
into this game against the Doggies, you'd expect them to win, but they didn't. The Bulldogs are now 2-2 for the season. So, I mean, is starting to get the mojo back for these tall forwards from Luke Beveridge, but the Tigers just aren't really hitting the strides you'd want them to.
Mm,
Um, yeah, a bit of a concern, but also, I mean, how serious is Richmond pushing towards finals or a flag?
mm,
Like, are they just there to stay competitive? I can't really get a read on that at the moment. So,
mm,
but if they're pushing towards finals, there's a lot of guys who need to step up a bit more, just
mm,
so you can kind of get back in that groove because they're not quite getting there. I mean, granted, it was a close game, right? Can't really take all that away from the Tigers when they ended up being within a kick from winning the game. Um,
mm,
but look, I mean, Toronto still had 27 disposals, and Nankervis got 35 hitouts. So overall, like it's not too bad of a performance. It's just a lot of things which could be better, and that needs to be more consistent week in week out. I think that's the main takeaway for
there's
the Tigers.
mm. The other huge takeaway for the Tigers moving forward is Tom Lynch's broken foot.
Yeah, no, yeah, true. That'll be a big out, for sure. And they'll miss
Mm,
him because if you look at like the two main big tall forwards, so you know, Rewalt and Lynch, you've only got one of them now, and that's the older one. So
mm,
how well can they hold that up? Don't know. We'll have to see. Um, and you know the Tigers went on a big goal streak in this game.
mm,
But you might not see that as often if you have these
mm,
forwards going down. But you know, Shea Bolton and Ranto hopefully also contribute to the goal hoarding of the Richmond Footy Club. But no, they I would expect them to get better, especially under um Dimmer. So
mm.
yeah.
Easter Saturday fun by the Dogs. St Kilda undefeated against the Suns, 113 to 60. Ross the boss and
Mhm.
his coaching staff just putting on a masterclass. Machito Owens, young guns everywhere. Mateus Filippo, Caminini. Then you got the mature age like Dan Butler, and their defensive pressure is just insane, and even their defense is just insane. I'd like to see how they go against the better teams, but at the moment they're undefeated, so there's nothing really much you can say about that. The Gold Coast Suns, however, um, well, I guess Elijah, you could agree with me on this. We're expecting a bit more from them, especially now there's a lot of pressure with the Suns to try and push for finals because they're a bit of a nothing team. They don't have much history compared to GWS, who was another new team who came in around the same time as the Suns, about 10 years ago now. Yeah, it's pretty much 10 years ago now. So, where did the Suns go from here?
Well, look, I watched the game, and you know,
Mm,
scoreline out of the way, and all things considered, they didn't play too bad. Um,
mm,
I think there's still a lot of positive things to take away from this game, even though it was a 53-point belting. Um, but I mean, you have players like Noah Anderson, Took Miller, Weller, these players, you know, played really, really well. Um, and especially when it came to the contested ball, they put their body on the line and they put in the work. So
mm,
I wouldn't be too upset at all from Gold Coast. You know, if you watch the game, they definitely put in the effort. A lot of the
mm,
boys, it mainly comes off, you know, their efficiency with the ball. Um, so you know how well can they clear out the ball? In this game, they had more clearances, for example, but significantly worse disposal efficiency. So really, for Gold Coast going forward, it's
mm,
just we get the ball. Yeah, we get the ball a lot. It's just how can we use the ball the most effectively without turning it over or doing other things just to
mm,
mess us up. Um, So yeah, on Logos' point of view, that's all it really is, just the efficiency of how to use the ball. And St Kilda, that's what's it, another defensive masterclass, held the Gold Coast to 60 points. So it's a tough
Mm,
matchup for sure for Gold Coast, because they like that bit of a run, um, and just being a bit more free. But there's definitely a lot positive things to take away from this rather than, oh, we lost by 50 points. Paper doesn't sound really good, but we look at the stats and it's a lot
mm.
better than you think for Gold Coast. Going forward, you know, there's a few things to tweak up, but I think because of how minute those things will be, they might turn around a lot quicker than we might expect. So yeah,
And hopefully
um,
the Suns can start getting some wins on the board, so then they can actually start making a name for themselves instead of just being the nothing club.
well, hopefully, not sure if finals might be it this year, but you have to make them
Mm,
eventually, which is the main
mm.
thing. Because I mean, look at other teams who are looking to make finals in the future, like Fremantle,
North
uh,
Melbourne,
North Melbourne, Hawthorn to an extent,
Adelaide.
West Coast to an extent, yep, Adelaide definitely. And it's like, well, how does Gold Coast fit into that? So
Mm,
kind of fitting all that together, and you have to make a push eventually. You can't just sit on the outskirts and watch every year. Um, but I'm very impressed with St Kilda though. Very,
mm,
very, very good effort, especially in those second, third quarters. Those massive, massive goal streaks. Yeah, no, really impressive defensively as well. The way they carry the ball and they just use the ball really, really well. Credit to Ross Lyon and all the guys over there. Um, Lenny Hayes and Corey Enright. They're doing a really good job down there. So it's really
mm,
good to see. If you're a Saints supporter, I'd be very stoked. I'd be tuning in every game.
mm. Especially next week against the Pies.
Very good game. That's pretty much the one game of the week where you have to
Mm.
tune in. It's pretty much one versus two, really. Yeah.
The Saints showing you why it's good to take risks. The
Yep.
Swans, the Swans losing after a goal after the siren by Ollie Florent, who plays for the Swans, missed a goal after the siren, and Port Adelaide shocking everyone with a 2 point win over the Swans up in Sydney. Port Adelaide showed some promise. They came back. Jeremy Finlayson putting in a great performance with 3 goals, and Ollie Wines, their whole midfield just chipped in, and they just pegged away at the Swans. And at the end of the day, if you can't kick a goal after the siren, you inevitably lose or win. If you can't kick it, you lose. If you kick it, you win. And Ollie Florent, disappointingly, couldn't kick a 40-meter drop punt. He was celebrating as soon as he left the boot, but just didn't make the goal line. So Port Adelaide getting the chocolates on Easter Saturday as well, ironically, with the puns and everything. But either way, the power shocking everyone.
Yeah. No, definitely. If you're I mean, Sydney didn't quite perform as well as you would have hoped, but
Mm,
also, ideally, you wouldn't have left it to the last kick of the game to win it. So
mm,
I don't think I can really hang it on Florent as much as others have. There's a lot of controversy at that last kick, which we'll get into in just a second. Port Adelaide
mm,
played pretty well all game, keeping the Swans to pretty low score. I mean, I didn't watch this outside of the last 30 seconds, to be honest. Um, but it was very one way, then the other, then another way. But yeah, no, Port kept them pretty low scoring, which is not ideal for Hinkley, um, Horse. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Sydney. Um, yeah,
mm,
you had some pretty good performances from some players, but yeah, once again, ideally you'd have this locked up by three-quarter time. Um,
mm.
I mean, on the Lauren
This,
kick, yeah, he could have made 40-meter kick for sure. some people have gone off at Callum Mills, I think it was, celebrating early. Um,
Mm,
but really, is he gonna block an Alia from going to the goal line when he was didn't even look at him? I don't think so. Um,
mm.
maybe Buddy could have put an arm around across him to block Alia, but I mean, I'm not sure what else he could have done. Um, I mean, Buddy's
There's
also
nothing else
preoccupied.
he could have done.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would have changed if I'm Sydney in that moment is just Buddy stick on Ollie earlier because you know he's going to get at the ball first. Um,
Mm,
but I think it was a bit rough. They dealt a bit of a rough hand, so oh well, you
mm.
cop that one on the chin. On to the next one, I guess. Unfortunately,
And on to the next game where the Bombers smashing, not really smashing, but to me it was a smashing against the Giants. Jake Stringer putting on a performance of a lifetime, especially with a torpedo from 60 meters out on the run. Um, and the Giants coming back, but the Bombers just showed some really good character. Stringer kicking what 4 goals and being probably the man of the match. Um, Unfortunately, Wiedemann went down with concussion, but that didn't really stop the Bombers from just being this train and just going away from the train station. And that was the Giants train station where they just hurdled over them like the horse of like a horse. So yeah, the Bombers just putting on a masterclass. Their defense was really good as well. Ridley stepping up. The only real disappointing player for the Bombers, in my opinion, because I watched the game with my family during Easter Sunday, and happy Easter to everyone again. Um, Archie Perkins didn't really perform as well as I thought he could have, but a really surprising performance was Will Snelling as well. Will Snelling played a really, really good game. Um, and yeah, Darcy Parish put on a really good show. Zerk Thatcher put on a really good show. And yeah, what did you think of the game, Elijah?
well, I was pretty tuned into this one as well.
Mm,
Pretty much from the second goal because everyone's going to oh, they need to run over him.
mm,
And after the first couple minutes, the Giants were up by 12. My call, what's going on here? So I say tuned in pretty much the whole way through. Um, and yeah, the one takeaway I think is just Essendon need to spend a whole day training doing kicking a goal. Um,
oh, yes.
I think that was
3
the big thing from
goals,
the game.
13.
3 goals, 13 at
3
half
goals,
time.
13 at halftime.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for our last
Oh,
couple goals at in the end of the third quarter, at one point it was 6 and 19, which is shocking, really. You expect a professional side to kicking
mm,
the opposite. But I mean, Adelaide's keeping it even like the Giants were, but no, 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 no. There's opportunity in front of goal, butchering it. And Jake Stringer had 4 goals, but that was 4 goals, 6 behinds. So really, I mean, that's 10 scoring shots. You'd expect to make at least half, which is at least 5 goals. I
mm,
wouldn't say that most Essendon players probably didn't play their best game at all. You would have
mm,
expected the Dons to beat them by about 50 points, and it was held way closer than it should have. And credit to the Giants for sticking in there, but
mm.
Essendon just messing up every opportunity they got in front of goal. It kept going down there, and they just didn't do anything with it. It's ridiculous, but credit to the Giants sticking in there. You wouldn't expect us to win anyway. But no, yeah, it was a game,
And
definitely.
we'll get to the Bombers' poor kicking towards goal with my angry segment. That just made Harry Mackay look like a viable goal scorer.
Yeah,
But yeah, the Bombers prevailing over the Giants. And another bit of a nothing game up in WA, Western Australia, was Melbourne West Coast. Melbourne getting over the Eagles 63 to 126. Melbourne just steamrolled them. Bailey Fritsch kicked a couple goals. Van Rooyen kicking a couple goals. McDonald stepping up. McDonald played a fantastic game, in my opinion. And Petrarca, Oliver just doing what they do best. Brady Grundy playing outstanding football at the moment in all Australian form with Tim English at the Bulldogs. But that's not to hinder West Coast progress, especially with the injuries that they have. Oscar
Mm,
Allen being really, really good up forward. Jack Darling being sort of that role model down forward, and Shannon Hearn being that role model down in defence. They've got a really exciting midfield. Jai Cully played really well, in my opinion. Petrevsky Seton's bringing some good form to the Eagles. Hunt brings some good form as well. Noah Long brings some good form, some young form because he just got drafted last year, and West Coast can only go up from here. Like, are they They, I reckon they've decided to rebuild. They're deciding to rebuild now. Um, but with every rebuild, there's going to be huge losses like these against quality opposition like the D's.
yeah, I mean, not much you can say from this one. Uh,
Mm.
I mean, I guess you have some returning pieces like Elliot Yeo, who only put up 12 disposals. Take it as you will against a belting against probably one of the best teams in the
Mm.
comp. But I mean, you had some other standout performances like, yeah, Oscar Rellin, really, really good in front of goal. And you had Tim Kelly with 6 marks and 36 disposals and 2 goals to his name. So it's a couple of highlights for the Eagles. But no, it feels like week in, week out, they put up a fight, but they're not really committing one way. But hopefully, yeah, they're kind of starting to see, look, it's not working with the older guys. Hurt too long. We need to kind of bottom out a little bit. Maybe not as much as Hawthorn, but yeah, bottoming out that little bit to kind of rebound back. Um, but yeah,
Mm.
Melbourne, though, yeah, pretty solid performance. Grundy 33 headouts,
Pretty
dominating the ruck.
solid.
Yeah,
Pretty solid. They smashed the Eagles. Pretty good
yeah,
performance.
yeah. No, but
It's pretty good.
individually,
It
right?
was
Individually, though,
mediocre.
right? Yeah, like individually, Grundy, 22 disposals and
Mm.
33 headouts. Just a casual, just a, just a casual Macca's run against the Eagles.
Macca's
Um,
run.
and
Cheeky
you had
Macca's
like
run.
Tom McDonald with 4 goals as well. And so
Yeah.
just a cheeky Macca's run from the D's. Very casual, easy 4 points. Yeah.
Stroll in the park for the days. Another bit of a stroll in the park for the Cats after half time. 127 beating the Hawks 45. I was at this game, and my goodness gracious me, we had him in the first half. Not gonna lie, but then the Cats just came out. Jeremy Cameron kicking 7 goals, and what was it? How many disposals did he have? Like 23 disposals.
Oh, I turned it off at 3/4 time. I
No, you turned it
He
off. It was just
he had 7 goals,
you
9 marks, 22 disposals. Very, very good game from Jeremy Cameron.
you got very angry at the umpires. I heard
I did.
from a from a fellow from a fellow friend named Jakob, aka me. Um, Now why did you get angry at the umpire, Elijah?
It's a lot of
Huh?
missed calls. A lot of missed calls. And you had,
Save it
like,
for the segment. Save it. Save it. Calm down. Calm
all
down.
right, I'll save it. I'll save it. But no, it was. I'd like to see my Hawks a bit more efficient in front of goal as well. I
Mm,
think at one point we were like what 3 goals? No, like 5 goals, like 6 at halftime. And
mm,
you know, I watched the game until like what 3/4 time, and I was thinking like half time we could be winning by a lot more. We could have like 8 goals or 9 goals, but no, we didn't take those opportunities as well as I would have liked. A couple of really easy stuff we missed, but
mm,
yeah, Chris Scott putting on a masterclass as to why they're the premiers, and they look to be back. Basically, it's just Jeremy Cameron's show. But they're looking to be back, all things considered.
Now, I heard a rumor that Scott, in the halftime sort of meeting, that he said, if you guys don't win this game, you guys aren't welcome back to Geelong. That was just a rumor that I heard after the game, and it obviously worked. It obviously worked. That's just a rumor, like I said. I just heard it from a spectator. Um, but the Cats just rolled over us in this game, and it was really disappointing. I was at the game, and say for example, the ball's on the wing, and you have about 95% of the players there, and I see it down forward in defence or on the other side forward and defence. The thing that I found disappointing was I saw at least 3 to 4 Hawks players on the other side, on the other wing, not affecting or helping their teammates get the ball. And that to me does not show teamwork. And that's
Mhm.
why the Cats, in my opinion, got the dub. And also the Cats are now back. They're now 1-3. They've got their first win on the board. Will this be a springboard to winning more games and reclaiming their throne?
Yeah, no, yeah, sure. I mean, I'll go off about this later, or
Mm,
definitely. But yeah, no, halftime. It doesn't sound like Chris Scott or Geelong at all. Really, that rumor. So I think I'd put
mm,
that to bed pretty quick because that doesn't sound like them at all. I'd be very surprised. But
mm,
no, they kind of flicked that on switch at halftime. And they got to work. By them, I mean Jeremy Cameron because he was the only player who played for Geelong,
mm.
especially for that first half. So, yeah, I mean, he's got 7 goals. He's a really good game.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, no, Geelong finally getting a win they should have had last week as well. Um,
mm,
I mean, they've had a good competitive first 2 rounds. It's just disappointing against Gold Coast, really.
mm,
With that now in hindsight reflects more on Gold Coast or not the result, at least maybe. But you know, it's a good win. They deserve it. And they should have had probably more by now. But yeah.
mm. And the rebuild and struggles continue with the Hawks, and now the Cats are back and up and about. On to the predictions for round five, and this is the gather round in Adelaide.
Mhm.
Some interesting matchups here. And the first prediction, Adelaide versus Carlton, Thursday night. I've got the Crows beating the Blues.
That's interesting. Um, I would tend to agree. I haven't done my tipping yet this week, so this will probably change. But yeah, no,
Mm,
I also probably would take Adelaide in this game, just because it's at the Adelaide Oval. You're not quite sure
mm,
what they're going to dish up, and it's going to be a very hostile environment for Carlton. Young list, we'll see how they
mm.
deal with that. Um, but no, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this game. I don't really think of it
It's
that
going to be a
much,
very good
but
game.
yeah, no. Thinking about it a bit more, this will be a very intriguing game to see who turns up.
Mm.
In there, yeah, interesting,
Fremantle, Gold Coast. I've got the Dockers.
interesting. I'm taking Gold Coast. Um, I'm not quite sure which Fremantle's rocking up, especially because it's an away game in Norwood on
Mm.
Friday night. I guess evening. Uh, but no, it should be an interesting game. I'm taking Gold Coast just a
It
bit
will be.
more consistent, trying to be that just a bit
Mm.
better. Fremantle's only win is against the West Coast, and they've kind of
Mm.
turned over every other week. So we'll see. I'm just not sold on Fremantle. I like my Gold Coast though.
The only reason I say Fremantle is because I reckon they're under the pump, and I feel like they need this win to get back on top and really strive for better in terms of um, making finals like they did last year. But
That's fair.
on to the main game of the night, Richmond Swans. I've got the Swans prevailing over the Tigers.
Yep, I do too. Yeah. Well, why would you say Swans
Self-explanatory.
self-century? Yeah. Um,
Self-explanatory. I reckon the Tigers, like the Lions and even the Bulldogs, I feel like they're a bit inconsistent at the moment, and the Swans are just the more consistent team.
yeah, that's fair. It's very fair. And you also expect the Swans to rebound after disappointing last week.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, you're not quite sure Richmond can do that as well. Yeah, cool.
Brisbane, North Melbourne. I've got Brisbane beating the Roos quite convincingly,
Yeah,
just
same.
because they've got the more experience, a lot more excitement about them, and I reckon they're getting back, hopefully, getting back to what they do best. And they've got, in my opinion, a lot better structure compared to North Melbourne with their youthful, unpredictable list and what they can bring. Like North Melbourne could come out and steamroll them, for all we
Mm.
know. But I feel like due to those inconsistencies, Brisbane will beat the Roos quite convincingly by about 30 odd.
Yeah, no, I can see that. You'd expect Brisbane to get over this one pretty
Mm,
easily. I mean, you'll have some good players from North Melbourne. Sheasel once again, and it's interesting to see how the Ashcroft and Sheasel duel kind of goes. But no,
mm.
you'd expect Brisbane to win this one pretty well. Yeah,
Melbourne Bombers. I've got Melbourne beating the Bombers by about 16 points.
yeah. Well, I think this game is probably going to be closer than you'd think. Um,
Mm,
if Essendon works in their goal kicking, definitely. If they
mm-hmm,
go, if they go 6-19 again, oh boy, someone's gonna. It's not gonna end well over in Teller.
mm.
But no, yeah, I expect this one to be pretty close, closer than most people would expect. But I think I also have Melbourne taking the chocolates, um, on the Saturday. Mm.
Port Adelaide Bulldogs. Two teams that are getting back into some form. And because of home ground advantage, I've got Port Adelaide.
That's fair. Um, I don't agree though. I have the Western
Got the Dogs.
Bulldogs. Yeah. I think
Whoa.
even though
Hey,
both even though both teams are kind of mid-table teams, kind of rebounding, a bit inconsistent, I feel
mm,
like the Bulldogs are just that bit more consistent. They're finding their groove a bit better than the Port Adelaide Power.
wow.
Um, and
Fair enough.
it'd be an interesting game. I don't think the home ground advantage affects them that much. Um, I
Mm,
like the Bulldogs in this matchup just a tad more, but it'd be a good game to keep an eye on, definitely. Probably one
that's
of the
fair
better
enough.
games. Yeah, one of the better games of the round, definitely. When most games are pretty good. Yeah, I have the doggies.
Geelong, West Coast.
Geelong.
Obviously, West Coast is going to win
Geelong.
this.
Oh,
No,
what? Wait.
Geelong.
What? Okay. Just make sure we're on
Geelong.
the same
It's
page here.
Geelong.
Yeah.
I was
Yep.
being
They'll keep
sarcastic.
their momentum from the Hawks game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Good.
Oh, pretty self-explanatory. And I reckon this one's a good matchup. GWS Hawthorn. I reckon GWS will get the chocolates there.
Yeah, I can see it. Um, I have Hawthorn. I just have a bit more faith in my side to
Ooh.
put a bit more of a fight. I think the Geelong's just a bit better side than the Giants, and you expect them to kind
Mm,
of play a bit better across the whole game. So I have Hawthorn, a bit of an upset, but
mm,
it shouldn't be an awful game. Um, the odds aren't too good against Hawthorn. So
mm. Now, match of the round.
mhm.
Collingwood St Kilda, 450 Adelaide Oval.
Yeah,
Who do you
no
have?
Ripper. I have Saint Kilda.
Yes, I've got the Saints as well. I've got the Saints by under a goal. I reckon 4 points.
Ooh, I wouldn't go that close. Um, but I think close game most of the way through. Maybe is a bit of a comeback and a push and a shove. I think St Kilda
Mm,
wins at the end of the day. Collingwood shown to be really, really good. They definitely probably will rebound after losing against
mm.
Brisbane last week. Um, but St Kilda looking very, very hot. Um, and it'll be interesting to see how the defensive run of the Collingwood backline, like Dacos and that, work against the very defensive side of St Kilda. Might be a very low scoring game, to be honest. But
Low scoring. I agree with that.
yeah, no, it should be a very, very interesting game, but match of the round for sure. But yeah,
100%.
Breath of St Kilda, which is interesting.
Now, what was I angry about this round? Well, I'm definitely going to tell you what I was angry about. Watching the footy on Easter Sunday with the family and watching Bombers miss 13 shots before halftime and only having 3 goals. What in the bollocks was that? Excuse my French.
Don't
What the
ask me.
bollocks was that?
Don't ask me. I wouldn't know.
Like I said before, making Harry Mackay look like a viable goal scorer. Like, come on! You can't be doing that, man. You cannot be doing that in this day and age. And they're just showing us what St Kilda have been showing us for the past couple of years. Just inconsistent goal kicking, like fair income. You got to be kicking those easy goals. It's like Brockman in front of goals in that first quarter. Miss it from right in front. Like, you got to be kicking those, mate. I understand we're all human and we make mistakes, but 13, you had 16 goal shots. You should be at least getting 90 to 80% of that. But instead, you're kicking 3 goals, 13. Yet again, they kicked 11 goals, 22, but the statistics aren't in their favour in terms of goal scoring for the weekend. 11 goals, 22. Come on. You could have bet the Giants by 100 points, and yet you pull up a 13-point win over the Giants. You could have so much percentage right now. You could have so much. And yet you only bet them by a measly 13 points. Got to do better, mate. Got to do better, Dons. Come on, Scott. Pull this group together. And another thing I'm very disappointed about is dropping D'Ambrosio. D'Ambrosio was fantastic last week. 27 disposals, I think he got, and he gets dropped. What are the Bombers thinking? Not only do they not kick well in front of goals, they drop a pretty exciting young bloke from the Western Jets.
Hmm.
Are you for real right now, or what?
Yeah, well, uh, yeah, disappointing pretty much from a lot of teams actually. Not quite really kicking straight, which is cost them games or has made them way closer than they should have.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Oh, you angry about Elijah? Please do
Oh,
tell.
look, I've kind of aired it out a little too early, but no, yeah, the umpiring on the Hawks Cats game. Um, might just
You
be me
can't
being a
blame the
Hawks supporter.
umpires.
Not really. There's a lot of calls, which is like, really, you're not gonna call that? I think there's one time which made me really mad. Um, where I
No,
think it was
I do agree.
Luke Bruce, I think it was, came back with like a contest with someone else. And he was standing up, and then another Cats player, third behind the ball, came over and knocked him over. I'm going, what's going on here? And they throw the ball in. It's a free kick. They call that every other week, every other game, and it didn't happen. And it was calls like that every so often. It just kept ticking me off.
There
So
was a contest where Luke Bruce got the ball. He only took one step and got tackled. He had no opportunity to dispose of the ball, and it gets called holding the ball. I'm not sure
yeah,
if you remember that contest in the second quarter, but that was
yeah,
one of the worst calls that I've ever seen.
bit of a Luke Bruce hating going on, probably I would say.
He's a champion of the game. He's a 3-time Premiership player, and he's played in 4 grand finals. Give the bloke some respect.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've kind of edited out early, but there's also a lot of calls
Mm.
like that where I'm going, come on, really, you're not going to call that, or you really called it that way. And the one
Mm.
which I kind of mixed up. I thought the sling tackle on CJ wasn't called. It was actually a 50.
Oh,
But
yeah.
oh well. I'm sure I'm still getting slated for that in the Twitter comments. But
Elijah,
no.
no need to get so angry. You're making me very scared right now.
Oh, she'll be right.
Should be right.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna raise your spirits with a couple funny moments from the weekend.
Okay.
Jeremy Cameron's celebration in the last quarter and just hilariously running into the umpire, not looking left and right. I wouldn't like to see him walk a pedestrian crossing because he doesn't look left and right when celebrating a goal, and he just bumps into the umpire. A bit of a goofy moment, and also a bit of a goofy moment with the Hawks putting up a 2-minute noodle sign. I thought that was very silly, a bit rambunctious. Um, good pun with 2 minutes to spare. In the quarter, but like 2-minute noodles with the chopsticks just hanging out there.
Well, I'm not sure. Was that what it was? 2 minutes to go.
I reckon it was 2 minutes ago. I reckon that's what it was implying.
Okay. Yeah.
They could have shown a 2-minute noodle packet, but I digress.
Oh well. Um, I guess the silly moment I picked out is uh Carlton and North Melbourne. Mackay missed a set shot completely, basically straight in front, running into goal, and he missed everything. He
Oh
he
yes!
he
Oh,
running in, and he's butchered it. It's out on the was it out on the full? I think it was. He's
this
missed
was out
everything.
in the full. It was a Cameron Ling moment.
Oh no, I love it. Was very funny. I'm not even gonna hold it against him. It was very funny. They won at the end of the day, but yeah, no, very very funny. Yeah,
Very funny.
who? Yeah.
Uh, now
Mhm.
I think we're coming to the end of the episode. Any final comments?
Um, not really from me. Um, however, my player of the week is probably
Oh yes, player of the week.
yeah. My player of the week is Libba from the Bulldogs. Really good.
Liba.
Yes, really good solid performance against the Tigers. One of the beacons over there, and it got a really good start, and that's what got the ball rolling for a lot of the
Mm.
game. So yeah, that is why he's my player of the week for round 4. What about you?
Round 4. I was at this game again. Jeremy Cameron just put on a masterclass. Not only because he kicked 7 goals, but I also think he's the most unique athlete down forward in the competition and the best forward in the competition at the moment.
Hmm.
His kicking to towards a fellow player is something that Charlie Curnow wishes he could have. He is one of the best kicks in terms of passing I've ever seen. There was a play in the forward line of the Cats where Jeremy Cameron got the ball, was about to be pushed over the line for a boundary throw-in, but he decides last minute he sees someone in the goal square, does this small snap, and it just falls straight into his lap. His footy smarts is just something. Again, Charlie Curnow wishes he could have.
It's
He was
incredible.
just so good today.
Yeah,
He's the most unique athlete at the moment, in my opinion, in the game.
yeah, for sure. Definitely incredible player. You love to
Mm.
watch him in week out. Unfortunately, they have one more, but he's pretty much been carrying the Cats all year, along with a
Yeah,
couple of
I
others.
100%.
So yeah.
He could possibly kick 100 goals if he keeps going the way he's going.
Oh, big call to say 100 goals. I don't think they'll be done again for another while, but
Mm.
he's
You'd
definitely
like to
one of
see
them.
it.
You'd like to see, yeah, yeah. Maybe we'd wait a bit of a while before making that call.
Mm.
All right.
Well, that brings us to an end of yet another episode of the Premiership podcast. Any final comments on your behalf, Elijah?
Nah, I think that's pretty much it.
I totally agree with you. We've discussed every single point, especially Harry Mackay's horrible miss from right in front.
Yes. All right. Make sure you like, subscribe, whatever else. This will go up on SoundCloud and all that jazz tomorrow. When I get back in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, this will be live tonight, on Easter Monday. Hope you've all had a good Easter.
Hell
And
yeah.
looking forward to gather around next week in
Happy
Adelaide.
Easter.
Yeah, if you're traveling over to Adelaide, stay safe.
100%.
Yep, stay safe if you're going over to Adelaide. But no, a lot of really, really good games next week. So looking forward to that. Yeah.
100%. Hope everyone has a good week. Stay safe. Work hard towards your dreams. And Jacob and Elijah and the Premiership podcast out.
See you guys.